Rise and shine your light and opulent solution seekers. It's your girl, the spiritual activist, coming to you with another word, invention, spout of wisdom, whatever you want to call it. Okay, guys, so honestly today, I don't know if I'm going to post this message because I'm still kind of processing these feelings, emotions, thoughts, whatever. But, you know, every soul kind of knows why they came here in some sense. It's just we've forgotten it. You know, at least that's what they say. But, you know, sometimes I feel like we lose our way sometimes. Or we go and veer on other paths because we've taken what someone else has given us, like a prescribed purpose, you know? Like, oh, you should work with children, or oh, you definitely should be giving it advice. And I feel like very few times do we ever get a purpose of, oh, your purpose is to have fun and be free and, you know, just focus on laying the foundation for you and your family. Oh, your purpose is about self-help, self-care. Because you've spent many lifetimes taking care of other people, and now it's your time to take care of yourself. I feel like those are rarely program purposes that we get. And I feel like it does stem from a lot of, I don't necessarily want to just put it all on Christianity, but there's some aspect of the black spirit that is sacrificial. You know, you can maybe associate that with the history of slavery, but there's some aspect of the black self-worth that is rooted in how much you sacrifice, how much servitude you give to others, you know? And so that to me does stem into a lot of the things that we take on, and a lot of the stress and traumas that we take on, because unconsciously we're constantly being programmed with this notion that if you're not doing so much for everybody else, then why are you even here, you know? But with that, you constantly have walking around with an empty cup, and you're battling, and so you're serving from an empty place. You're serving from a depleted place. And yeah, your heart may truly be into it, but you can only give so much when your life outside of your missionary, you know, roles or whatever, your mission is miserable. When what you volunteer your spirit, energy, time into gives you no abundance. And I understand abundance mindset and people saying, you know, I just live life like money's coming to me and all of these great things. That's great. But these things are usually coming from people who are in a different phase than we are. I'm at the bottom right now as far as, you know, skin in the game goes. You know what I mean? Like, I have not established my tribe and community. I know I've been called because of the wisdom that I have. I know I have it because I know all the secrets of the world. Now, I'm not going to say all, but I know a lot of the secrets of the world when it comes to spiritual manipulation and empowerment and all those things. But there are so many blocks against that information from being out that I'm battling. It's like I'm fighting a war that feels like by myself. I just have to keep reminding myself that I have a whole army of ancestors, spiritual teams, God behind me. You know, sometimes we try to fight these battles by ourselves, but it's not just us in the battle. You know, we have many other soldiers on our team. Just got to keep reminding ourselves that. But also, it's like, I was just thinking about, you know, how I hear a lot of people saying, you know, schools are getting too political, blah, 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 is getting too political. We don't go into this, don't go into that. And this goes back to one of my episodes before when I said you walk in your purpose. Yeah, the systems are effed up. Yeah, they may be. But what would it be if there were people without purpose in those systems? What would it be if there were no God-fearing people, if there were no people with great intentions, pure hearts? You know, what would happen to those children, to those people who never run across somebody who truly wants to see the best for them, who truly wants them to be liberated and be, you know, their true selves? What would happen? You have to think about that. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at about that. And it's just like, there's only so much you can do. But when I hear, political, like industries that get political, what that makes me think of is policing. And in this world, we do police. You have to understand, the black spirit is a very big spirit. So, a lot of times, because supremacy and oppression comes from a place of lack, it comes from a place of scarcity, it comes from a place of insecurity. Nobody ever wants to talk about that, but the colonizer, the oppressor's mindset and spirit is coming from a place of lack. Everything, jealousy, envy. So they created a way to manipulate someone who's really, they perceive as better than them, who probably is, to feel less than. So they tricked your mind to feel like your spirit is less than theirs, because there's that comparison, there's that competition. So they want to bring you down so that they can feel a little bit ahead. You know what I'm saying? And that's how they leveled the playing field, but it wasn't level. And so, a lot of times in this policing of our spirits, you have systems put into place to continue to perpetuate that cycle, to buck break, to Willie Lynch us mentally, so that we are spiritually entrapped, so that we are spiritually confined, and we don't feel comfortable being our authentic selves. What happens when we're not our authentic selves? We feel depressed. We feel defeated. We feel hopeless. We feel trapped. We feel fear. We're in these low vibrational states because we're coming down to their level. These are what they feel. They're projecting all of their own biases, all their own feelings onto us. And I'm not going to just put it on one race, but it did collectively start off as one race. But this is also just becoming a tactic of bosses in general. It's a very toxic trait that bosses have. A lot of their conditioning is about dominance. We live in a dominance culture. It's about manipulating people, brainwashing people to serve your purpose, and not equipping them or bringing them on to help you while they're learning to get to a point of being individuals. To get to a point where they can actually see themselves achieving their own goals while still helping you attain yours. But no, instead it's more of a slave labor, modern day slave labor, where you only have the time and energy to do whatever it is for them. No more work-life balance. No more pursuing your vision. You barely even have time to hold your vision in your mind. And just be mindful for all the rebels, revolutionaries, people who are conscious to this. Be mindful. It's going to be hard getting into other, jobs and this and that, because you're going to constantly be like a human lie detector. Like, you can just smell BS, and because of that, people are going to feel uncomfortable around you. And that may play out and show up in different ways. And also be aware that your boss may make an example out of you, maybe passively or just straight out. Because the idea is to buck break you. Buck breaking and Willie lynching is when you take the strongest, most rebellious one, the one who stands up the most, the one who actually has standards and boundaries to their superiors. They make an example of them, and we see this constantly within the media. Like, you can just look at Kanye West, you can look at Chris Brown, you can look at a lot of, first of all, African-American men, because the black man is one of the most powerful, yet the most feared races and genders in America. They're constantly breaking and emasculating the black man. You can see that in just the media, period. But it's something that's done. There's a deep-seated fear in non-black people of black people. Like, for whatever reason, our spirit, like I said, is very powerful. Our energy is very intense. Our passion a lot of times is perceived as anger. we're not understood. And this is what I love about us, because we're cut from a different cloth. We have understanding of each other, but it's something that cannot be taught. It's something that cannot be felt, because you do not share our spirit. And it's something that's wanted so bad that it brings about a lot of negative energy. So yeah, just be mindful of, the way you're getting treated, and move around from environments that you can already tell don't receive your energy and revere it. Don't honor it. Don't respect it. Don't appreciate it. Don't see its worth. It doesn't mean go around with like a God complex and mean like, man, bro, you should be bowing down to me, worshiping me. But it's a place where you're equal. I don't care if you're not the boss. I don't care if you're not the rich one. I don't care if you're not the successful one. You know what you have. You can carry it humbly, but authentically. You know what I mean? You can talk your shit, bro, and not be considered conceited, cocky, arrogant. You give your props and your flowers when you see it. So why you can't give that to yourself? Don't let people make you dim your light. God didn't say let there be light for you to be walking around dimming it. We are products of God. Let there be light is also my interpretation of him creating us. If he's in essence light, we are in essence light. You know how they always say, if God is the ocean, we're a drop in that ocean? That drop is still encompasses everything that ocean encompasses, just in a smaller vessel. Same thing with light. If God is the almighty light, we are little lights, little beams of light. He created. None bigger than the other. It's just that some have been covered with layers and layers of conditioning, programming, whatever, narratives, mindsets that have dimmed it. Think of a lamp. I heard this description on a TED Talk from someone. I cannot remember their name, but they, referenced a lamp. I love analogies, metaphors. And so the lamp had layers and layers of sheets over it. Eventually, you couldn't tell if the lamp was on or not. But once you slowly peeled away those blankets and those layers of those sheets, the light got brighter and brighter and brighter until you realized that light had been on the whole time. Same thing with you. You just have to reprogram, shift the narratives, and just be mindful of this world's tactics. I don't want to program you guys with skepticism, cynicism, paranoia, distrust, but it's inevitable that a lot of us carry this already. And my thing is, use discernment, know when you're kind of carrying your wounds into your present situation, because your mindset, your thoughts can attract your reality, but also use, just basic logic and do a lot of communicating. That's a big aspect. Just ask people, confront things, not like in a confrontational way, but just, hey, I don't know if this is this, but watch, even when they deny, the energy is going to be weird. You can always tell when a person is bullshitting you. But yeah, so like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna post this. It's just me kind of venting and just kind of getting to a point where it's I'm just tired of seeing this world manipulate and control the power of the black dollar, because as I said, we're spiritual beings. We're emotionally charged. Our spirit gets bored because we don't really know peace. So a lot of times we think we're lonely. We think we're bored when really we're just at peace. We're still. And we don't know how to accept that because we've adapted so much to the trauma around us that we subliminally or subconsciously, unconsciously, whatever you want to say, attract chaos, turmoil, adrenaline. These are things that feel more normal to us because we've normalized it, because we've felt trapped into it. When your mind and your body is in a state of survival, it's fight or flight. Or adapt. It's kind of like the concept of you can't beat them, join them. So it pisses me off, and a lot of times people judge the way we've adapted to our environments. When you feel mentally, spiritually, emotionally trapped, it is amazing what we've done to become resilient. The trials and tribulations we've endured, the traumas we've endured, that we've conquered and overcome, the hurdles we've overcome to still survive and to keep our sanity. Yeah, we're not perfect. There's a lot of flaws we carry as a community, as a race, as a whole, whatever, individually. But there's a lot of beauty within us. And this, society is trying to put a shadow on our community, and I don't like it. It's not what's up at all. And there needs to be more people speaking up on it and defending us as a culture and constantly just being woke and not letting the programming F with you. Don't let them fool you. You know what I'm saying? Don't let them program you to hate your culture and your race and continue to break each other down. Yeah, we have our flaws and things that we do, but why? You have to go back to the root. Why? What is the root of that? What is the history of that? Why is there crabs in a barrel? Like Jay-Z said, crabs don't belong in a barrel. Why do we pull each other down since we like to call it out all the time? And black people, this why we this why we still this, because of this. Why? What are the systems that are upholding these mindsets? Why do we feel so competitive with each other? Why do we feel so much lack? Why do we feel like there's not enough room for all of us at the top? What is the history behind that? Why do we not trust each other? Why do we have toxic relationships with each other? But yeah, this is just the top. But just be aware of these systems, guys, and how they're manipulating your dollar, how they're manipulating your energy, and all the above. I love you guys. Keep God first. Peace out. So now I'm just starting to think that black people, yeah, we may have victim mentality, and that is a major roadblock for us because it shifts our perspective to see things in a more external versus internal way. But I'm also starting to feel like a lot of times it's just that we sniff out BS much more. Like, we're very naturally empathic people, and we just can feel when someone is trying to bullshit us because we've experienced it so much in history. Like, people just trying to take over, manipulate us, take advantage of us, do little shit that make us work, make us give more of ourselves than we're receiving, make us share more of our cup than we're getting poured into. And so we do carry this wounded energy sometimes, but it's also a part of survival because it keeps us from not being so naive or gullible from this happening again, And there's a fine balance in between discerning whether that intuition is accurate or if that intuition is just, a wounded perspective. But I say all this because, I just listened to my boss have this whole speech about, immigrants kind of have a deeper understanding of entrepreneurship just because they understand how hard work can get you more. If somebody gives you a job where it's the opportunity of incentives is in your hand, it's performance based. Basically the more work you put in, the more money you get. Yeah, there may be a base pay, but don't get so stuck on that base pay because it's literally what you make it. If you make your goal, if it's goal oriented, you make your goal within 1 minute, you're going to still get that full base pay and you're good to go. You know what I'm saying? So it's about just kind of shifting the perspective of it. But then I'm also looking at it a way of okay, so but for black people, it's we've been through so many experiences where we didn't get that. Even when it was performance-based, our work ethic got us nothing. You know what I'm saying? So we carry a very exhausted spirit. And it's harder for us than maybe other people because we've had that knowing shoved down our throats. A lot of people who can continue to do that have not been educated on how people have been taken advantage of or, used and abused and, taking a strong black woman, black man narrative and ran with it for, their own advantage. So it's easy to keep working and working and working. Versus for a black person, in our mind, it's bro, we kind of just want the cart before the horse or whatever, you know what I mean? We just want to see that incentive because we know what we're capable of already. And I know the world doesn't work like that. It doesn't pay you based on what your capabilities are, what your potential is, and what you bring in your worth, knowing that. But we also don't get the motivation either because people do subconsciously be hating and they can't help it. Your energy is so strong, your confidence so strong that they're constantly trying to break it down. You constantly have that hater energy around you all the time. People just waiting for you to fail. And yeah, some people thrive on that. They can fuel them to make them want to beat them even more. But for some people, that gets exhausting and it's defeating. you know, and it's not motivating. It's hard to push through those energies, you know, and it's just a lot to it, bro. And I'm just trying to battle with, like, you know, being taken advantage of. And when I do the math, I'm like, the math just isn't mathing. You know, yeah, I got this, and yeah, I can make it what I make it, but I'm also running up miles, I'm also running up gas, I'm also running up, there's a lot. And I'm being nitpicked and dissected and tweaked to be something that I'm not. You can't say break the mold on one conversation and then tell me to do all these things that box my spirit in another conversation. It just doesn't, it's counterproductive. It's contradicting. And your mind can't make sense of stuff that don't make sense. When you start to get that, like, bro, I can't wrap my head around it. It's because the shit it's not rational. It ain't gonna make sense because it's thrown off. Something about it is not right. The math isn't mathing. When the math ain't mathing, they need to find another way.